It's Monday morning after a very cold night. It's bright, it's cold, and it's very windy. And I'm just coming to assess what the night did to the allotment, if anything. So the very last thing last night, I covered the flower seed beds with polythene, and the wind seems to have avoided blowing those off of the beds, so that's good news. With the temperature as cold as it is at the moment, I'm tempted just to leave some of this fleece on. My wind protection on the broad beans seemed to hold, which was good. I think it might have just opened up a little bit, but the broad beans are looking fine. And my fleece inside the beds also held, which is good news. And again, I'm tempted to leave that because tonight they're talking about 0 and below again. And into the polytunnel. There we go. Well, everything's remained covered, so there's been no breeze in here. And the temperature, according to the thermometer, -1. So I think it was the right thing to do, albeit it can be a bit of a faff. There's a good chance we save some plants. The lettuce, which is probably the most exposed here, doesn't seem to have been affected badly in any way. Sometimes it can take a few hours before you see the effects of a frost on a plant. The potatoes are usually a good indicator, and they don't seem to have come to any harm. So I think my analysis would be that we survived that night. Have a quick look at the potatoes that we covered in grass, just to see how they are. Normally the chicks are my first port of call in the morning, but today they're taking second priority. Yep, the potatoes remain covered without any problems. And hopefully nothing else has poked its head through. No, looking good. Well, I think we survived that one, which is great news. And I think tonight there'll be another frost. If it goes down to -1 again, then it's worth taking all those precautions. So I'll get on with the day. So that's all the single ladies out. And these girls come out through their automatic door. So we'll just go and see Puff, see how she's faring this morning. Let the screen down. Mighty windy today, so just need to watch that door. Yeah. And Puff is sat in the corner on a perch as normal, looking for some food by the looks of it. Now, for those of you that don't know, Puff is either extremely short-sighted or completely blind, and we tend to have to feed her by hand quite a bit and make sure she gets water quite a bit. But she seems to prosper okay. Any small eggs this morning? Nothing yet. The eggs always come a little bit later from the silkies, whereas the bigger girls usually have laid by now. Let's go and have a look. Oh, good morning, girls. I don't think I'll disturb you. Well, I'll be picking those out a little bit later by all accounts. Not really convinced by the strawberries in this coop. Two of the plants look really poorly there. Some of them seem to have come on really well, but equally there are others that are just not faring well. I'm not sure whether it's just a bit cold, a lack of light, but it's not working out as I would have hoped. So the jury's out as to whether I'll bother doing that again. We'll see. Looks like one of the girls wants a nest box, and they're all full. Right, feeding time at the zoo. Well, that's the dahlias uncovered. I think they're fare better for being in the light today. And my carrot bin has been uncovered. Got quite a few carrots coming through there. That's carrot Nantes 2, I should say. There's a few weed seeds in there as well. When they get a bit bigger, I'll be removing those. Super chilly, windy day outside. And what better to do than to sit in the warmth indoors and sow some really warm weather seeds. And I'm going to get to that point where the polytunnel is cranking along, hopefully, and it's nice to have the really warm loving herbs. So today I'm going to sow a few varieties of basil so that we can try some. And while I'm doing herbs, I thought I would sow a couple of other herbs. Firstly, Californian white sage. Now, sage is one of those unusual herbs that when I plant sage in the chicken run, the chickens don't eat it. And therefore it gives that bare earth look a little bit of relief if we can get some plants to grow in there. And what better if we can get one that we can harvest and use. So I'm going to try Salvia apena, which is Californian white sage. And we'll do that in just a few sections of a tray. But it'll be interesting to see if the chickens keep away from them as well. The other herb other than basil I'm going to sow, I'm on a bit of a mission to see what varieties of thyme we can grow and to see what we like the flavour of. And there's a summertime de Provence which is widely used by the French for cooking, and they take the view that it's got a more intense flavour. So summertime de Provence, a few seeds, see if I can raise some plants and see if we like it more than the common thyme. So on to the basils. Well, we love basil. You can't really have too much basil. It's lovely in salads. It's great to make pesto. But I'm going to try a lemon basil to see if we like the flavour of that. I'm also going to try a basil known as Mrs. Burns lemon. And this particular seed variety is reputed for having an even more intense lemon flavour. So we'll get two flavours to try out of that. And then Thai basil, which is an intense sweetness in cooking, is a little bit different from Genovese or our common thyme. And I'm going to go for trying just a few plants of those to see if we like the flavour of those. And then the Genovese, which is the renowned cooking and flavoursome basil that you can grow. Of course, the sweet basil, which is the common basil, is also a fantastic culinary herb. Now, all these seeds are fairly fine, so all I'm going to do is push them into the compost. And I think that will suffice for now, with just a very fine sprinkling on the surface. And then, because they are fine, I will water them from the base so that we don't wash them all over the place, and certainly we don't want them crossing over into the other cells. So there we go. That will give us hopefully a really interesting variety of basil, and with the addition of sage and the few thymes that I've sown, we should have a good variety of flavours for cooking. Now I'm going to put those into the propagator, where we seem to be building up a supply of additional seedlings. So into the propagator go the herbs, and they join the Allotment beans. We've got the climber, and we've got the dwarf variety, and then we've got cannellini beans. And the Allotment climbers seem to be poking their heads above the soil, and also we've got a few of the dwarf variety doing the same. And in between we've got the orange thyme that I sowed the other day, and we've now joined it with these various basils. So it might be May and we might be having a frost, but we're still sowing some warm weather crops. I've got this feeling of deja vu, but hey, it keeps everything alive. We don't mind. Dahlia's done. Moving on. Last night it came. -2.5 degrees, a widespread frost. Cars were white. The bird bath was frozen. So today will be interesting to see whether any damage reveals itself across the plot. And we have to take it as it comes. The main thing is we did everything we could, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be all right. Well, going to make the most of today. It's bright. It should warm up, and I'm looking forward to it. Interesting this morning, looking at all the crops. This is how the broad beans reacted to that cold. They all seem to have closed up a little and leant over, so hopefully they'll come back today, and we'll keep an eye on them. Not that there's much we can do. And the ones over here, many of them similarly closed over, leaned over, and we'll see how they go. I've got this old bit of trellis. In fact, I've got a few old bits of trellis, and I'm thinking that I'll put this one where the loganberry is growing, and it will just stop it falling back into the water butt area, and hopefully give it something to climb up, or at least I can affix it to it. So that's the plan. I try not to make anything like this too permanent, just in case I change my mind. So I'm going to fix this with some cable ties, some plastic cable ties, and then if I do change my mind, I've got some options. This old strawberry pot has come to the end of its life. It's very, very sharp now. You have to be really careful with it. And it's had 2 lives. It was thrown out. I picked it up on the side of a lane, and I'm still going to recycle it. These crocks can be used in the bottom of pots. So I'm going to break it up, and there's 1 or 2 strawberries in there. I might just stick them in there. And this is a sledgehammer to crack a nut, but it's the only hammer I've got on the allotment. So there's 3 strawberry plants in there, and I think we'll put those in the ground. And there we are, nothing gone to waste. A quick water in. And what's left in the can is going on the rhubarb. Now Mrs. K's been asking for a step. She finds that a bit high. She is short. So I'm going to try and take a chunk of this out, about the size of that paving stone, and give us some steps up. And then hopefully we can use this a bit more. And at the other end I think we probably need a stepping stone to come off of the path. But I don't have that at the moment. But I can get on and do this. And before I carry on taming this area, I need to string up some of these raspberries. Certainly in the last couple of days in the wind, 1 or 2 of them are blown over. And of course once the stems break, they die and we lose the fruit. So before it gets too serious, I'm going to put in a few temporary posts and string them up. Anyway, there's a job done. Everything is standing up. Hopefully it'll give all this fruit a better chance. All those stakes are temporary. Long term I need to do something more permanent. But until I get this cleaned up and know what it's going to look like, I don't want to do that. So for me the next step is to make sure I've got a path through here. And it's sort of obvious. I'm going to have to go through these bushes. But I do want to root down there eventually, so I need to get real about the width and the direction of this path. Decisions. So this is quite a big project, and I don't anticipate completing it throughout the summer. The winter months are probably best for working on these slopes and trying to recover what this looks like. But I'm anxious to do bits at a time, bite-sized chunks. And it's about what to do next, really. I'm thinking making this path usable is probably the most important thing. So there's a route up here, but when you get to here, it's too high. So I think rather like the step that I put in further down the plot, I think I'm going to cut a step in here. I'm going to have to keep my eye open for a paving stone. But in the meantime, I'm going to cut the shape out and At least that'll get this root into use, and I think that'll maintain the path, and I can keep the weeds down easy. That's next. I've got enough lettuce to supply a few supermarkets. I always tend to grow too many, and I don't really want to use any more compost because the supply that we've got is sufficient. So I'm going to try an experiment. I'm going to use this decomposed chicken bedding. It's a mixture of chicken manure and wood chips that we use for their bed, and it's been in that compost bin now, I would say probably 2 to 3 years. And I'm going to plant these lettuce straight into it, and I'm hoping that it won't be too rich, but it'll be a really good indicator to me as to whether it is or not, and it'll supply us with some more lettuce that I can probably end up sharing with the chickens. So these red lettuce that I've got, I'm going to go straight in, and we're going to see how they fare. Give them a good push in. I think if we do 4 in these little square pots and 8 in that tray, then we're going to have a fair few red lettuce to share with anybody who wants it. These plugs are now clearly very, very root bound. Almost a white solid mass. But I'm sure they'll get away once they get watered. And this variety is called red salad bowl, and that's exactly what we're going to have. So there's 2, and we'll do this large one. All the time I've got to be thinking about the space that I'm going to need in the polytunnel. The next big move in the polytunnel, when the plants end up going out, will be to bring the peppers that are in the house, pot them on and put them into the polytunnel. And they are already ready to come in to the polytunnel. In fact, we've got peppers on the vast majority of them. Not huge, but they will continue to grow really well if I can get them in to the polytunnel and into some larger pots. There we are, that just about polished off that tray, and we should have a load of lettuce from that. Fingers crossed, that material will be just about right for them. Overnight, I'm just going to pull these lettuce into the shed. It adds a bit of work to the morning routine, but not too much. I'll just keep them on this patio where the warmth should be good, and hopefully they will prosper. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.